Martin Paquette, I'm such a huge fan of McKay and how you played him in The Shrine. He says, this guy says was your top episode. What research did you do to prepare for that episode? And I have a follow up to that, doing that with your sister.
Yeah, it's funny.
There's got to be a levity at the same time. It's like putting yourself in the real situation, man. Because she and I have talked about it. It's like she at a certain point she was bawling. She was inconsolable.
I think you can only sort of play those things. I think you can only sort of play those things straight because you can't mock any of that kind of stuff. I think you can't. Again, it's sort of the nature of. That's why I think comedians are really better actors than actors, because if you can make people laugh, they laugh because they connect to something. You know what I mean? Like, or you shock someone or something. But that was so beautifully written, that piece. And also there's a luxury there. Like normally in something like that, you have to go and you have to research specifically what is it, what are the but in this case, you could just take this sort of story that Brad had put together and just play with different aspects of different conditions.
Were you aware of how personal that story was for him at the time?
Yeah. I didn't.
You didn't then. Okay.
No. Well, in fact, one of my funny stories was about Brad was doing off camera with me because we shot all of the video stuff at lunch one day, which is again one of the things I love about film is that you could spend a week working and crafting these things. I truly believe that the best stuff comes out of accidents, and we had a lunchtime to do this. So I sort of came in literally with like a sandwich, and then we would do the scenes, and he cried, and I said, and I was like, you're not crying because of my performance, you're crying because of your lines. Because it was like, it's so beautiful what I've written. But he's just he's such a suck. I love him. And then I heard recently what it was all about. But I think we all know people like this. It's so prevalent now, this aging population, people who struggle with that stuff and mental health. I mean, mental health is a big part of our family. We've had a lot of mental health issues in our family. So, there are just little aspects of everything there. It's one of those beautiful things that if this had been anything, if it was an ER episode or something like that, you'd have to know everything about that disease. But in this, you could just take the cues from the script and just make them as real as you could. And I loved it. And of course, it helps having your sister there. Because
I was about to ask, with her right
the
there.
Drop of a hat. She starts sobbing away, and it's no, it was wonderful. It was wonderful having her. It was always, I loved having Kate there because there's no. We just insult each other the whole time. And it's kind of fun. And she's also one of the funniest and most talented people I've ever met, unfortunately. So,
How is motherhood treating her? I haven't spoken with her.
Oh my God. They've got this freaking perfect child. It's just these giant freaking eyes. And yeah, she seems to be, she seems to really be love. I'm so happy for her because I just don't know I could never imagine her without a kid. Like she's just such, of all of us, I think she probably is the one that I would most have imagined having a child. And she was the only one who hadn't. So, the kids, George is just, I call her George. Of course, everyone hates that, but that's why I say
it. In your opinion, Goran Adanovsky wants to know, which expedition leader did McKay prefer to work with the most? Weir, Carter, or Woolsey? Which do you think he connected with the most?
Carter, I think. I mean, begrudgingly, but I think Carter. Weir was always a struggle for him, I think, because I just don't, because I think the advantage that Carter had was that because of the science aspect of it, he was not, I don't think McKay really understood bureaucracy. He was never good at diplomacy. He never understood any of that kind of stuff. I mean, and if you asked him, he probably thought that he was the team leader anyway. So I think, if you asked McKay who he thought was the best team leader, it would be himself. And now a few words on leadership.
Right, exactly. And him thinking that before Carter comes in, that he's fully convinced that he's going to take over the expedition. and just completely
absolutely.
shocked. And it's like, wow.
No, I mean, I think that's it. But that is absolutely McKay. I mean, I think, it's funny thinking back, looking at McKay through sort of the current lens is fascinating to me because I found a little bit of tea. Excuse me. Pardon me while I die. Go on without me, David.
I'll carry the torch.
Yeah, you do it. Tell him the story. I forgot what I was saying before I started dying. What was I? Something fascinating, I'm sure.
Talking about, for God's sake, what is it that happens in our minds?
It's because it's a squirrel. This is a squirrel fact.
Squirrel. Absolutely. No, we were talking about
what was the question? Let's go back to the
McKay,
question.
Carter, Woolsey, or
yes.
Yeah. Or
yeah, he really does assume that he's going to be put in charge. I think he really does fancy himself a hero. But at the same time, and is to some extent, but I think he just doesn't, again, he doesn't understand diplomacy at all. Mm-hmm. I remember having an argument with Tori at one point where we all ran for the puddle jumper and we all took seats and she got stuck in the back. And she said, don't you think that you would give up the chair? I said, absolutely I would. She said, good, can I have it? I said, but McKay wouldn't.
McKay would not. That's
the
thing.
There's no way he would give up his seat.
Yeah.
And she was very frustrated by it. And I was like, Tori, it's not you, it's not me.
It's him.
It's McKay and Weir. And I'm afraid, like, not to be a dick, but I'm a dick. You know what I mean?
He's thinking about himself. And I am responsible for getting us there. You can diplomacy your way out of it, but I mean,
and I think actors can forget that sometimes. They can get so into their character that they forget either into their character or into their own. They connect so much with their character that they don't know where they stop and the other one begins. And I'm not good enough actor to do all that chameleon stuff, so I tend to just pull on stuff that exists for me. So that tiny little ego that I have, you play on that. Sarcasm is always a big fan of sarcasm. So I think you play up those elements of yourself that work for the character. And McKay, unfortunately, there was an awful lot to work with.
Unfortunately,
yeah, or fortunately, depending on the case, maybe. Yeah.
Weather's windy.
Oh, right. So that was the current lens. The current lens. That's what I was talking about.
Yes.
The idea that I mean, McKay would have been canceled.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And that's not a bad thing. I just think that what's interesting there is that in a way, Atlantis was about him discovering humanity, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. He'd worked alone for so long. He was so reviled by so many people that what I loved about McKay was that instead of being introduced to a character, we were almost sort of pulling him apart, seeing where all the strings led. You know what I mean? And I think that's what was so much fun about it.
Hey everyone, it's David. Hope you're enjoying the clips during the break. We will be returning in the spring. In the meantime, are you good with English? Are you one of those people who take pride in your grasp of it? Well, we have a great team over here transcribing the backed catalog of Stargate interviews and have dozens more to go. If you're interested in joining me and a small Stargate diehard community looking to preserve the stories brought to Dial the Gate into text form, then please email me at dialthegateshow@gmail.com. There's a little something in it for you, and you'll be helping to pass along the stories to future generations of fans who have yet to discover the show. Thanks so much for watching Dial the Gate.